want to know a Latino problem that is much more like annoying and flagrant is fucking Latinos in this country currently that think they're white. That like American white, not just like 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 whiter skin white, like no American like gringo
the whitewashed
white.
Like, the whitewashed Latinos are really
I don't even
like
calling it whitewashed because people can consider me whitewashed because I don't like Mexican culture, like, or I don't like a lot of Mexican music, or like I don't like attribute myself to like a lot of the customs and stuff like that.
Latinos are the weakest motherfuckers.
They're the weakest. But like I don't blame them.
But they'll be like dudes that
American people let y'all in and you forgot how to fucking act.
Yo, I got friends whose parents are still illegal, and they like are like super like no, like they think they're white. They just think they're like gringos, like as if they won't stop you and be prejudiced towards you, dog. Like, what are you talking about?
For
like
instance,
that's the fucking worst.
I distinctly remember one of your exes having parents who were literally immigrants, and just because they lived in the suburbs, this bitch really thought she was white. Like when really thought she was white, like she thought she had every authority to act like a white bitch.
Yeah.
And that it wouldn't matter. And it was wild. And it wasn't
just
even,
like, are you,
and she wasn't even white color. No. She was like my color, if not darker.
Yeah.
And she really 100,000% that.
Like, what are you? Like, what are you talking about?
Every time I see shit like that, I'm like, that is so embarrassing for your soul, because you are just
for your soul. That's a great way to do it.
Begging for approval.
Yeah,
you're begging for it.
You're begging to be put in a crowd that you don't belong in.
That is pathetic. Like
that's a good way of thinking about it. I didn't thought about it that way, but yes,
that's what it is. Yeah. That is exactly what it is. It's you wanting to so bad, like, convince everyone around you that you belong. And I understand like the just the phenomenon of also being like an immigrant or a child of immigrants, and how hard it is to exist just in a society that doesn't feel like it's the one that you are like supposed to be a part of. But like, y'all want a white man's approval so fucking bad, and you know what? I hope you get it.
You know what? And in some instances, whenever I talk to them and whenever like we like hash out like arguments, I really do genuinely think they believe what they're saying. But and to that point, that's why I'm like, I'm not sure if I would say begging for approval. I just think they actually believe it up until they get put in a situation where they can't hide the color of their skin.
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody has to look at them and say, no, not you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what do you mean? And you know what I mean? And then then up until that point, I'm like, we tried to tell you, dog.
And you know what's fucking crazy is they will never put themselves in that situation because they surround themselves with nothing but really.
I've seen it happen. I saw it happen one time. I'm not gonna say any names, but I saw it happen one time where this person was convinced, and then all of a sudden it happened right in front of me, and they were like trying to act like everything was cool. It happened with a cop, and like a cop was like trying to, and I knew it was here at Precinct 6, so like I knew I had dealt with this kind of shit before, and I like as soon as the cop pulled up. This was like, I think it was in my early 20s. As soon as the cop pulled up, we were here in Second Ward, and as soon as he pulled up, I already knew in like with the look in his eye. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So then I was like, immediately I put my hands on the fence, and I was like, all right, just let it happen. And my friend was like, yo, what are you doing? Like, they can't like stop you, like blah blah blah, this and that. And I looked at him like, you better do what I do, dog, before your ass gets in trouble. Like
before your ass gets killed, before your ass gets
worse, right? I was all like, just do what I do, just do what I do. And he was all like, officer, blah blah blah, this and that. And the officer comes up and is all like, I haven't talked, I'm not talking to you right now. And he was all like, whoa, like, you know, and he tried to do the whole spiel about like, you know, this was before like you could video cops, right? Or at least it wasn't as prominent. And he was all like, oh, you know, what's the problem? We're just walking, blah, 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 this and that. And like, and the cop was just being rude as hell. And I just turned back and I'm like, if you don't do what I do, your ass is going to get fucking beat. And like, I could see in his eyes that like his whole world was like falling apart.
Yeah.
Like I could see that
everything he knew was being
like everything that we had argued about for who knows how long at that point, where I was all like, bro, you gotta understand what I'm telling you. And he was all like, no, bro, you don't understand. You're just in this victim mentality and this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm like, dog, if you don't put your hands on the fucking fence right now, not, but shit, I might get beat with you, dog. Like,
He's like, I got nothing to
don't do it for yourself. Do it for me, bitch.
Dog. Like, just do it for me, because I'm not trying to deal with this shit. And like, it essentially, the cop got close, and he asked for his ID. He asked for like who he was, and he was all like, "Well, what are we getting charged with?" And I'm like, "You're saying all the wrong things
Like,
right now."
you need to stop.
You're literally saying all the wrong
You're
things
saying
right now.
all the wrong things, and the cop essentially grabbed him and like shoved him up against where like the fence where I was, and like forced, like got his wallet out and shit like that. Obviously, the cop shouldn't be doing any of that shit, and like, you know what I mean? They're like breaking the law or whatever, but it doesn't fucking matter. The point that I'm making is that they knew that we were here, that we looked the way we looked, and that you were about to, and that we looked like the whatever suspect they wanted to make up in that moment, right? And my friend, like, man, I remember his face was up against the fence, and it was like a broken man. Like, it was like, it shattered, like, right in front of me. And then afterwards, like, they left because they, couldn't find anything. I wasn't saying anything. I wasn't trying to provoke the cop. Usually I might have, because I'd have been, like, heated or whatever. But, like, I was like, and this is really bad for me to say, but I was like really looking forward to just sitting on the curb with my friend and being like, So, you all right?
Yeah.
Like, I know that you just went through something. Like, I know that it's seemingly like I'm about to go home and I'm about to eat some tuna. Like, I'm about to eat some rice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go watch my shows and shit like that. Like, it's a normal day for me. But like, you all right? Because I know you're about to go home. You're about to ponder life real quick. Like,
yep.
Because you just.
And what'd your friend say?
But he really didn't know what to say. And like, essentially, it was like one of those moments. It was like a come to Jesus moment, for lack of a better term, where he was like, "I've never been treated that way before."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah," and like, you, like, of course, like, I get it. Like, it's rough. And then he was like, but like, we didn't even do anything. And I'm like, girl. Yeah, I'm like putting my hand on his back. I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, sure, buddy.
We didn't do anything.
Go through all of the motions.
Yeah.
I'll be here.
Like, remember that.
Like, just,
I'll wait for it.
And I remember, like, very specifically, I was like gonna make a certain point, because I wasn't trying to be like condescending, and I wasn't trying to be like, I told you so, like, right on the street. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna do that, but I was like, I like tried to be as poignant as possible, and I looked at him and I was all like, and bro, like, you can handle yourself. You're about to go through this, but like, this can happen to your mom.
Yeah.
Like, this can happen to your sister. This can happen. Like, and I brought it to like the people that in his life were a little bit more like, not defenseless, but like more vulnerable. And I was all like, yo, this can like, imagine your grandma.
Yeah.
Like, we were at his house like before, so his grandma was there, and I was all like, that can happen to your grandma or mom. Traffic stop. Like, and like, at that point is when he was all like, oh shit. Like, fuck. Like, fuck it happening to me. Like, that can happen to my moms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My moms ain't do nothing. Like, my moms would never do anything. So, like, it happened only one time. But to your point, motherfuckers love to be like, no, it would never happen. No, you're just tripping. Like, no. And they love to play that shit.
I think, for instance, I was trying to say more along the lines, because I think that happened kind of like on accident.
Oh,
like,
it was a complete accident.
He wasn't putting himself in front of a cop trying to be like, hey.
And to be honest, I would have rather, and maybe like this is where my like sympathy and empathy towards him, because I care about him a lot. Like, I would have rather that not happen.
Yeah, of course.
Because like, now he has to like process that.
That's hard to process.
That's a very fun thing to process or to like deal with in one way, but then on another way, I'm like, okay, well, you kind of understand how the world works now, at least here, at least the world that you're in right now, that you constantly have to live through, right? Despite the fact that we're the most diverse city, despite the fact that we're the, it's still a liberal city, despite the fact, like, all of that bullshit, right? But like, a big part of me was like, nah, bro, I wish this would have never happened. Yeah. Like, I wish we would have kept arguing and you would have had the veil about like how things like really are. You know what I mean? Because I didn't feel like, I didn't want it to be my responsibility to like sit there with you and like your world shattered. You know what I mean?
But think that makes sense to your friend or whatever. But on the other hand, I'm not like that. Like, I have friends who are
Nah, man, you live and you learn.
Why are whiter skin and or are white, and I'm on the complete opposite end of that spectrum. I was like, no, you gonna learn today, baby, because I will 100,000% get profiled a million times over before you in an instant. And I let my white friends know that. Like, I let them know immediately. I'm like, don't play with me. Do not start with me.
I just told,
I will get stopped at a traffic light, and there's multiple things that can happen to me that would have never happened to you. All of those things are disgusting. All of those things are humiliating. All of those things are belittling, and they would literally never happen to you. And they don't get it too much, and I'm just like, you don't get it, and you probably never will completely get it. But I want you to know
don't fight me
that
on it.
that I will 1,000% fight you on anything that has to do with the color of your skin.
I always tell my white friends a story about when I went to jail and they didn't let me out on bail.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That shit was, and how moms was like tripping out.
Yep.
But I always tell them that, and they're like, they can't do that. I'm like, can't
the
they?
fuck they think you can?
Like, what universe?
I'm like, you just like saying words.
Literally, you just like
saying words. Like, I know you think those words make sense, and like on paper they should. Like, they can't do that, but also
but they do.
Like,
but also
baby,
the presidents
arrive in this universe.
Yeah, like also
not
presidents can't incite riots,
like,
and here we are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
that's for real. That's very true.
You'd be surprised what people can do.
It's like people can
with the right power.
People cannot murder other people. Like, make it make sense.
For real?
Make it make sense.
Damn, dog, you solved all the world's problems right here. We were just eating this fucking Korean barbecue. Like,
fuck it up,
you know what
yo.
I mean? But like,
I
do love to tell that story. I not love it, but I do say it all the time because that's like the word clear.
I told that story to my white manager, and I remember that they were like, this is a weird thing about my manager, bro. Like, my manager is like very white, like white, but he's also surprisingly very like, I know. Like, I know that does happen.
There are some white people that don't like entirely suck.
And like,
oh no. Yeah, there's white allies for sure.
He's interesting because
historically there has been a lot.
Yes.
So.
Like that you just said.
Like, and he's
I got y'all are invited to the carne asada.
Like, he's very much
he's
like,
got y'all. Don't be looking at me.
We gotta screen y'all and vet y'all for sure.
Very much because
y'all ain't just showing up.
Like,
y'all take it up with them.
Like, this person, like, it's really weird though, because it's like there's a lot of things that I could very much agree with him, and then there's things that I'm like, why? Like, you're telling this to me. Like, it doesn't like register in my mind how the like it's so internalized in their mind of like, this is just a norm for the white people. And I'm like,
I told that story. I told that Bond story to a white friend of mine, and they were like, you should find out who this cop was, and you should like start an investigation. I'm like, you trying to get me all the way fucked up? Like, yeah, like I told him that, and I was like, you really trying to get me out here fucked up?
It's like, bro, you were I gave you the point. All you had to put your fucking finger on it.
All you had to do was
still
just take
missed it.
Like, we should start an investigation. I'm like, who's we?
Who is we?
You know the DA? You like, what are we doing right now? Like, who first of all, who do you know that you think that you could just go and sue a cop?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, the amount of
their
like,
dad is a lawyer.
Yeah, there might have been a lawyer. Their dad might have been a lawyer, but still, it's like to them, it was like, oh yeah, you can just do that.
Right over your head.
What's crazy though? Like,
but like the fact that wasn't even an option. Oh, we should start an investigation.
I remember.
I'm like, who is investigating who? Because I don't like the words that you just said, because it feels like I'm gonna get asked a lot of questions, and I don't want to answer.
It feels like I'm going to jail.
If somebody's with a suit asks me a question in front of you, I'm gonna find you after this. Like, I don't want to try to talk to nobody unless they're wearing wife beaters and Converse.
Like that world-shattering moment that your friend went through.
Yeah.
I remember all of the ones that have happened to me as like, one, a Latina, one, a woman, two, like all of the things that are like
you might have had some early because of me, actually.
Oh no, I know. I had a lot.
I know.
I was just crazy as a fucking kid.
I've had a lot of them like as I'm growing up, and I've had some that like really like really sucked to fucking feel, because it was
But I feel like the difference with that is that like in those positions, like you are anticipating it. You know what I mean? When you grow up and you hear all these stories, you're like,
oh no,
fuck, no way that that's true. But you know that it's gonna happen to you eventually. Yeah. And that's the thing with white people. It's not that they're like, it's not true. Is that they cannot fathom,
because it would never happen.
That is the world, because that is not the world that they live in,
and it would never happen to them.
You know what I mean?
Never happened.
It would never happen to them. So to them, it's just like, I have no proof that this is, like I have no way to corroborate.
Like verify it. Yeah.
Yeah.